right, everybody settle down. We're about to start the summit. Could everybody find their seats? Settle down and we're about to start the summit. It's always the naughty speakers.
You can make me shout.
Settle in, everybody. We're about to start the summit. Could you kindly find your seats? We're about to start the summit.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Can anyone here hear me? Oh, okay. Well, I think we're about to start, so we want everyone, please.
Pretty please.
Pretty please.
Great.
Yeah. Over to you.
Okay, great. Good morning, good morning. Wonderful people of the world, captains of industries, leaders of the green revolution. Good morning and welcome to the World Climate Investment Summit 2026, brought to you by the World Climate Foundation and the London Stock Exchange Group. A partner, we have shared this great journey for the past 5 years. It has been quite a journey. We have become friends and a great community. We are forever lucky and grateful that we've had this wonderful partnership. Can we give the London Stock Exchange a warm hand of applause? So my name is Matsi Modise. I am the Africa lead for the World Climate Foundation. I'll be a program director in Plenary A. And today, I am joined by the ever gracious Hill Bank Jurgensen, who is the global managing director at the board development. She will be the program director for Plenary B. Can we give her a warm hand of applause? It is no accident, it is no coincidence that you are here this morning, and I mean this with the greatest of humility. You are carefully chosen, carefully selected, because we believe that you have a purpose. You are on a mission, and we are happy to have you all here today. Hello, tell us more about what's going to happen in Plenary B, the roundtables, and the workshops.
I love to do that. Okay, now I don't have the mic in my hand. You can still hear me, correct?
Yep.
Good. So, first and foremost, thank you. Jens was so kind to bring me into this a few days ago. So I am very, very happy to be here. Apart from being the global managing director at Board Intelligence, so working with a lot of board of directors, I also have the pleasure and honor to be at the World Economic Forum at the Climate and Nature Governance Future Council. So everything that's going to go on here today is kind of like exactly what I like to hear. In Plenary B, I'm going to drag anyone from here, but maybe I will. We will have a lot about resilience. We will have a lot about how do we ensure that we actually have the capital to do what we are talking about doing. And to be honest, I want us not to just talk. I want us to get some action. Because frankly, and I see Mindy here, we've been talking a few years, haven't we?
Decades.
Correct. Decades, right? So the question is, when you walk out today, what is the one thing that you have learned or you have decided that you can do, either differently or more of? So that's my challenge to all of you. Are you in? Yes. Are you in?
Yes.
Thank you.
Great, no, wonderful. Well, on that note and on that wonderful, exciting, energetic start, you would have noticed that there's various lanyards. So I'm going to kind of simplify because you're wondering who's wearing this lanyard, who's wearing that lanyard. So we've had to be very strategic and focus on quality over quantity. So in that sense, we have the morning session, and those who are wearing lanyards that are blue are the ones that will be joining us this morning during the morning session. And that that focus will be on climate. And then in the afternoon, we have the green lanyards. Those are delegates and participants that will be joining us in our nature conversations and deliberations. So if you have the green lanyard, most of you obviously wouldn't have it because it's more for the afternoon. But if you have the blue one, that means you'll be with us this morning. And if you have the multicolored one, which I see most of you do have, you'll be able to join us throughout the day. So it's quite straightforward, but if you need somebody to explain it, we have a lot of our wonderful staff that will be able to show you the direction and where to be. And I must emphasize that we have, in parallel to the plenaries, we have roundtables and workshops. It's important that if you're invited to a roundtable or a workshop, we don't mind if you leave mid-sessions during the plenaries, but it's important that you do go and attend those sessions, either a workshop or a roundtable. So we will not be offended if you have to stand up and leave, but be mindful of the time and also be mindful of where your roundtable and your workshop is. So that's me and the administration.
And be mindful of where you're sitting. So if you have a roundtable and are sitting in the middle, is that a good idea or a bad idea? You'll be sitting kind of like at the sides, okay?
So be mindful of that, I think, and we will be very happy. I think throughout the whole day we'll be explaining and reminding people of roundtables and workshops. So that's enough on the administration. It's time for us now to kickstart the World Climate Investment Summit 2026. And to do that, I'd love to invite on stage Fiona Bassett, FTSE Russell CEO. Give her a warm hand of applause.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the World Climate Investment Summit. Yes, my name's Fiona Bassett. I'm Group Head of the Benchmark and Indices at LSEG and CEO of FTSE Russell. LSEG is honoured to host and co-organise today's event with the World Climate Foundation. At LSEG, we really understand the importance of the role that financial markets will play in enabling policymakers to deliver on the goals of a sustainable future. We're proud to play our role in convening that market and facilitating the conversation around sustainability. I'd like to thank you all for joining us today because I'm sure you've all had a busy London Climate Action Week, as I certainly have. But I have certainly found the amount of global connectivity and cross-industry practical discussions and information sharing on display this week to be truly inspiring. I hope you've saved some energy and enthusiasm for today's event because it's really a unique gathering of institutional investors, financial institutions and leaders from the corporate and the public sectors. I believe very much in the power of community and having this group together and harnessing it, I think can achieve great things. So without further delay, let me wish you all a productive and energising day ahead. And I'm going to hand over now to Jens Nielsen, founder and CEO of the World Climate Foundation.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the World Climate Investment Summit. And as you heard in the beginning, we have a small anniversary today. This is our 5th year of doing it here at the London Stock Exchange and in partnership with the London Stock Exchange Group. And we meet today at a moment of profound change, geopolitical tensions, supply chain disruptions, energy security concerns, and the rapid growth of AI are reshaping markets and investment decisions around the world. Climate and nature are no longer separate from these forces. They sit at the very center of them. Yet, despite this uncertainty, the direction of travel remains clear. The International Energy Agency expects global energy investments to reach a record $3.4 trillion this year, of which 2/3, and I'll repeat, 2/3 of that will be flowing into clean energy. So the direction is clear, and yes, it's true. Most of those 2.3 trillion, or 2/3 of the 3.4 trillion, is flowing into solar and wind production. We need more of that, but we also need more to flow into new areas of investments. We need them to flow into storage, grid, all that can help electrify our societies. We need investments to flow into adaptation and resilience, especially with the warming that we see. all around us. We need it to flow into nature. Nature is a big solution on climate change, but also a big solution on biodiversity. And then, not the least, we need to flow it more to emerging and developing markets where we will have the strongest growth in the future. So, the challenge before us is that we need not just ambition, we need more action. Yeah, in this case, actually more transaction, and many more transactions. And to do that, it will require new partnerships, smarter approaches to risk, and stronger collaboration between governments, investors, businesses, and financial institutions. We need all these actors jointly to construct the business models and the products that are investable with the right balance of risk and return. And that requires working with the demand side, with the supply side, with the financing models, and with the regulation, as we have seen for many years now, is behind the success in solar and wind investments. So that focus on action and transaction is also the challenge set forth by the COP presidency when we look towards Antalya. The focus is now on implementation. That's the word we hear everywhere, also in the discussions during this week. And thank God, that is the word we need to hear, and that is the focus we need to have. And that's turning commitments into measurable outcomes, accelerating renewable deployment, and improving efficiency and building economies that are resilient in an increasingly complex world. So that's why today's conversations, they matter. And we are not here simply to discuss the transition. We are here to identify what is needed to accelerate, unlock the capital at scale, and turn opportunity into action. So let us use this day to build partnerships, challenge the assumptions, and focus on delivery. Antalya is actually only 5 months away. So let's leave here with the work already underway. So thank you all for your leadership. Thank you for being part of this journey. We are building the platform for action together. Thank you.
Thank you, Jens. Thank you very much, Jens, for setting the scene. All roads lead to Antalya. So we are all excited for COP31, which will be hosted in Antalya this year. Thank you very much, Jens. And next to come up on stage is Professor Jim Skea, Chair of the IPCC. Welcome to the stage. Give him a warm hand of applause.
Okay, thank you very much. And as Chair of the IPCC, I really do thank you for this opportunity to address the opening of the World Climate Investment Summit. And can I just say, as someone who lives in and works in London, it's a pleasure to see so much commitment on show during this week's London Climate Action Week. So let me just start by reflecting on where we are in respect of climate change and climate action. It's now almost inevitable that global warming is going to exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels in the not-too-distant future. And according to the UNEP Environment Programme's Emission Gap Report, which uses the methodologies accepted by IPCC, the continuation of current policies will lead to warming of 2.8 degrees by the end of this century. And on the slightly more optimistic side, the same report says that if we implement the nationally determined contributions, this would lead to warming of between 2.3 and 2.5 degrees. And at best, if long-term aspirations for net zero emissions are met, peak warming could be limited to 1.9 degrees during the century, with temperatures falling afterwards if we take action to reduce emissions and we start to remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Now, this is obviously deeply concerning because IPCC findings show us that beyond 1.5 degrees of warming, the risks really start to accelerate. Consequences, heat stress, which we're all aware of this week, more extreme weather events, flood risks, drought, the productivity of agriculture and fisheries, and threats to ecological systems. Many changes are going to be irreversible for centuries to millennia, especially those relating to the ocean, ice sheets and global sea level. And in particular, low-lying countries and regions face existential threats from sea level rise. Now, the risks we face are unprecedented, but so are the opportunities associated with adaptation and mitigation. The recent progress in renewable energy and the electrification of energy demand has actually been extraordinary. Our sixth assessment report highlighted 80% reductions in the cost of solar PV and batteries for passenger electric vehicles since the turn of the century. Wind energy costs have also fallen substantially, and wind and solar energy together now account for more than 10% of global electricity supply. Now, renewable energy obviously contributes to avoided carbon dioxide emissions, but renewable energy complemented by the adoption of electric vehicles also leads to health benefits from improved air quality in urban areas, which I think has been pointed out this week by Michael Glunberg and Sadiq Khan. And as our last report pointed out, a world of lower greenhouse gas emissions and zero carbon electricity, whether sourced from renewables or nuclear, is a world of greater energy self-sufficiency, which is a pertinent consideration in today's troubled geopolitical situation. However, the expansion of renewable energy has been concentrated in just a few geographies, mainly China, Europe and North America, and progress in many parts of the world, including Africa and much of Asia, has been slower. And the barriers here are not technological, they relate to policy and economics. Renewable energy is capital intensive, and the high cost of capital in many developing countries is an obstacle to progress. So further investment in infrastructure, including storage and grid interconnection, is also needed to accommodate the expansion of variable renewable energy. And public policy obviously has a role to play here, though concessional financing that reduces investment risks and leverages private capital can help. I'd also flag that progress towards net zero emission extends beyond the energy sector. Patterns of land use and agricultural practices would also need to change. And here the distributed nature of decision-making poses even greater challenges. But now, let me say just a few words about adaptation to climate change. With global warming of 1.5 degrees imminent, it's very obvious that there is an urgent need not just to reduce emissions, which is absolutely essential, but also to enhance resilience and step up adaptation efforts. Too many countries face disaster risks that undermine people's lives and livelihoods, destroy capital, and inhibit growth. And our sixth assessment report concluded that progress in adaptation has been made across all sectors and regions, but the progress has been unevenly distributed and there are obvious gaps. Most adaptation is fragmented, it's small in scale, it's incremental, and frankly, focus more on planning than on the implementation stage. Many initiatives prioritise immediate and near-term climate risk reduction, which does limit opportunities for transformational adaptation that cuts across government ministries and decision-making processes. So in IPCC, we're actually paying much more attention to adaptation in the current seventh assessment cycle. Our Working Group 2 report on impacts, adaptation and vulnerability will, for the very first time, include chapters on finance and responses to losses and damages. And technical guidelines on assessing impacts and adaptation, dating way back to the 1990s, are now going to be updated with special reference to indicators, metrics and methodologies. Now, mitigation benefits from having a single key indicator, tonnes of carbon dioxide equivalent. There are no equivalent indicators in the field of adaptation. In addition, adaptation efforts tend often to have a public good character and are embedded in broader infrastructure investment and development activities. In fact, only 1% of identified adaptation finance currently comes from private sources. So the new finance chapter is going to consider opportunities for enhancing private sector engagement through, for example, insurance, addressing supply chain risks, especially in the food system, or contributions to early warning systems. Now, before concluding, just allow me a few thoughts on another relevant cross-cutting issue that's being addressed in the IPCC 7th cycle. The exceedance of 1.5 degrees warming may be imminent, but it is still possible, in principle, to follow a so-called overshoot pathway, first exceeding a warming threshold such as 1.5 degrees, and then returning to below that level by removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And global net zero emissions represent a first step on that journey. Now, IPCC is going to be addressing many knowledge gaps relating to overshoot in the forthcoming reports. For example, we don't fully understand how the Earth system will respond to carbon dioxide removal and falling temperatures. And we also need a better understanding of the extent to which specific climate impacts may be reversible or may involve passing tipping points. Much work remains to be done with respect to emerging carbon dioxide removal technologies, such as direct air capture of carbon dioxide, or more exotically, the enhanced weathering of rocks, for example. Now, to be clear, avoided deforestation and afforestation already contribute to carbon dioxide removal, but there's a wider spectrum of opportunities becoming available. And the next IPCC Working Group report on input mitigation is in fact going to devote an entire chapter to carbon dioxide removal. And our task force on national greenhouse gas inventories is developing a methodology report which provides guidance on estimating atmospheric removals from emerging carbon dioxide removal technologies. And that report is due for approval at an IPCC plenary session in Japan at the end of 2027. And after that report is published, it will be possible to include novel carbon dioxide removal technologies in national greenhouse gas inventories and in cooperative approaches under Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. Now, at present, these technologies are at the demonstration or venture capital stage, but in the long term, there may be large commercial opportunities if the world pursues an overshoot pathway by reducing global warming following a temporary peak. So with that, let me conclude my remarks by thanking the organisers once again for the opportunity to address this meeting. Just to say, by virtue of IPCC's unique capacity to assess and synthesise a vast and exponentially growing body of scientific knowledge, 5,000 new articles a month at the latest count, we have the inclusivity, we have rigorous review process, and we straddle the scientific and policy worlds. We're in a unique position to provide evidence and knowledge-based foundations for climate action, and we do indeed stand ready to support decision makers in both the public and the private sectors. And with that, I thank you.
Professor Skea, thank you so much for those great insights and also the wonderful work of the IPCC. Next to come up on stage is Mr. André Corrêa do Lago, who is a COP30 president, and that was hosted in Brazil. I would say personally, probably my favorite COP to have attended and engaged in. So give him a warm Brazilian welcome.
Between that very kind introduction and the game against Scotland yesterday, I'm very happy. I'm sorry for all the Scottish that are here, but I think it was a fair game. It was a beautiful game. And all the Brazilians are in a good mood today. So, but I have other reasons to be in a good mood today. I think that this event is extremely important. It's hard to follow Jim that made such an objective and important presentation now, and I thank you very much, Jim. But Jens, it's a pleasure to be here, and the title of today's event seems designed by COP30 presidency, and I'm going to tell you why. Because it's sustaining capital flows for clean energy and nature. These are the three documents that we are going to present before COP31. One is a document on implementing the 1.3 trillion Baku to Belém pathway for finance. This document should be ready in October. Then there is the roadmap on transitioning away from fossil fuels, which is absolutely the essential element for clean energy. And the third is a roadmap on ending deforestation by 2030. So these are the three themes that, as president of COP30, and normally everybody naturally would think that I lost my job at the end of COP30. No, I will lose my job on the first day of COP31. So I decided to work this year intensively, and we are preparing those three documents autonomously as presidency, and I hope they will contribute to more informed debate on the issues, because as Jim's presentation was very clear, there are so many dimensions in the discussion surrounding climate change that are evolving so quickly, and one of them is carbon capture. And the roadmap we are preparing on deforestation deals very much with carbon capture, since forests are one of the most important instruments. Nature is capable of capturing carbon in an exceptional way. But also, Jens, when you mention the word implementation, maybe is being overused recently. But let me tell you why I think it's not. Many COPs, and I've been to many, use that this is implementation, this is the COP of implementation, etc. And then I become president of a COP and I say that it's a COP of implementation. But there is a huge difference with Belém compared to other COPs. And it's not because Belém was a very nice place to have a COP, and because it was presided by Brazil. But it is because of the logic of the process of the Paris Agreement, of the UNFCCC and the UNFCCC. The COPs are a process, so you can add some elements, but you have also to preserve and strengthen the accumulation of decisions that were made in the years before the COP that you are presiding. And what we saw preparing COP30 is that Paris had evolved as expected, with a series of negotiations that created the Paris Rule Book, which are the things that we had agreed that we had to prepare to really be ready to fight climate change and follow the very good scientific guidance of the IPCC. So what does this mean? It means that at every COP, most people expect that you're going to save the world at that COP with decisions on that COP, and which in fact are words, very important words, because they are the result of consensus between 194 countries, which is already a lot. But we believe that we have so many decisions that have already accumulated year after year that we have to use them in the best way possible. And when we were in Dubai, we decided, we achieved the decision by unanimity on the global stocktake of the Paris Agreement. So we have already decided among ourselves which are the things that we have to do to try to avoid 1.5. And this decision is something that doesn't need to be revisited. Many people think that at every COP you have to reiterate things. You don't need to reiterate. You already got consensus, and getting consensus of 194 countries is really very difficult. So we took the GST, the global stocktake, that had so many directions, very clear where we have to go. And we built an action agenda surrounding the GST, an action agenda that is an instrument for all the actors beyond countries to fulfill what all the countries together had decided in previous COPs. So by doing this, I think we succeeded to show the difference between the negotiations that need consensus and the implementation that does not need consensus. The implementation is something that can be done by countries individually, by groups of countries, by all the countries, but also by coalitions, and mostly involving the actors that are the real implementers of the decisions of the COPs, which is business, subnational governments, science, scientists, academics, NGOs, think tanks. I mean, everybody can work in the action agenda based on what we already achieved as decisions in previous COPs. So with that, you can really say this was a COP of implementation, because we had the decision at COP30 that the climate regime has evolved from negotiations to implementation. We will continue to negotiate many things, but we have the Paris rule book ready, we have lots of decisions, and we have the global stocktake. So we have already the indications of all the directions that we need to go. That is why, for instance, in the action agenda, and I suppose that many of you have been to many COPs and have participated in the action agenda. Now the action agenda is more structured because it is based on what is already approved. So we're going to implement what was already approved. So I believe that this is giving a new relationship between business and between investments and the reality of investments that are necessary for us to fight climate change. I would like also to comment how the idea of electrification, for instance, which is a priority for Turkey, or waste management, for instance, all these issues are already fitted into the 6 axes of the action agenda that was approved for the next 5 years. And these are the themes, the main themes of the GST. So it's not that every COP comes and builds something out of the blue. No, it is that you have already a basis, and we have to learn how to use better the basic understandings which we had reached before. So I'm very positive regarding Antalya, because somehow the fact that there is a divided presidency, because you have the Turkish presidency that is organizing the COP and is leading the action agenda, and you have the Australians that will be the presidency of the negotiations. So this separation of negotiations and consensus and implementation and liberty, I think that this is going to be very clear, even more clear, because we have these 2 presidencies acting together. They are very coordinated, but stressing the opportunities that are being opened by this new structure. And the fact is that we have little time, and we have to use as best as possible this time. So I'm very happy to be here with you, because the gents, I think, presented very well the challenges that we have for investment in the world. And we absolutely need to deal with those issues. So the 2 roadmaps and the document on finance that we are going to publish before October are going to be very much centered on the implementation of the financing, the implementation of the decision of Dubai on transitioning away from fossil fuels, and the implementation of the decision of Dubai on ending deforestation by 2030. So I hope you will have the patience to read all those reports that we're going to present, but most of all, I hope you will continue to believe that this agenda is the agenda of our time, is the agenda of our children, and this, we definitely need to do that together. So thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much for those inspiring words. The COP institution doesn't just belong in a silo, it's all connected, and implementation is very, very key. It's time to take action.